Okay, let's begin with our case study discussion. So, our case study, as provided, was basically focused on development. So, now we would be concluding like what was the case and what were the concluding statements. Let's start then. The entire structure of the project, which was given in the case study, was seen slowly to overtaken by the religious divide in the communities. Since a particular sect was in lesser number within the governing body of the project, they were slowly and meticulously strayed away from the opportunities of the self-development and growth on an economic scale. Actually quite common on almost every project. Once you start coming away from that area, like you begin your project, you gave everything, and then once it's time, you are now ending up and you start departing away from that area, and all the authorities, all the rights have been given to the communities. If they have not properly understood those rights and all, how it should be functioned and how it should be monitored, it is definitely going to create greater nuisance, and your whole planning and whole struggle for 3 years would be a waste. All the problems which you incurred, all the roadblocks you overcome would again, like we would be again coming to base one from where we began, and we would be ending up there only. So it's really very important, like what, how you start and how you end. Okay, let's now talk about the case study again. So an important learning as far as the stakeholder management and selection is concerned can be observed from the case study. Not only the components that are tangible and visible to common eye act as a stakeholder. Many a times, the project interventions committee does not spend enough time in creating inroads for the new projects within the beneficiary communities and implements the entire project in a haste, leading to its downfall in the longer run. Thus, what we can conclude is the common notion of tangible stakeholders has to be done away with. It should be well understood that the success of a community development project more or less depends upon the interaction of the communities with the project and the interaction of the communities within themselves. It's a really very important point. Many a times, with this aspect of project establishment being overlooked heavily becomes a faltering point for the project. This reduces the institutional capabilities of the project and further derails it from the track as soon as the control of the reins is transferred over to the community. The differences suppressed by the external order keeper seep in destroying the cause of the project. As a project manager, it is these nuisances that have to be kept under check for the project to run it with due course. And that would be our discussion on this case study. It was a really interesting case study about how the community, without proper interaction after the NGO started at the end of the project, actually the how the as the NGO started to go away from the area and the power was given to the local community heads, without their understanding how they manipulated it. Yeah, it really does happen. If you don't have a proper understanding about anything, then there would be then you would be starting to manipulate things in your own way. uh, we can't only blame the community as a whole. We can there has to be, we can also say that the mistakes have been at the end of the NGO as well. They were not be very successful in understanding from the point of view of the community, and they were not able to. So we actually can't blame on only the NGO and only the community. Overall, both have been not been in the proper match or proper what we can say proper parity with each. So have they been in proper parity with each other? These mistakes wouldn't have been there. Okay, so that would be our discussion for case study. Let's move to our next slide. Uh, so coming on to our next slide, that is overall summary one. So I would like to summarize the whole discussion now. Let's start with it. A project is an individual endeavor independent of any other initiative with its fixed vision, mission, and a set of outcomes to be achieved within a stipulated time frame. For every project, there needs to be a there needs to be a proper documentation to start with, which lists out all the stakeholders and their interests and aspirations need to be taken into consideration. The sourcing of finance has to be done alongside the project proposal. The project proposal has to be sent across financing agencies for them to go through objectives and set targets. Once the project financing is on board, the project management has to make inroads into the community and make them aware of the collective good of the community for which the project is established. After a small period of landholding, further the control has to be passed on to the members of the community, making them self-reliant. The project has to be monitored regularly and by the concerned project management authorities to reduce any anomalies and derailments from the cause of project. So that was our overall summary of our discussion. Thanking you for your time and patience. Thank you.